Cafes have always been an integral part of all our lives and our culture. From Moroccan shisha houses, French cafes, Belgian beer gardens, they've evolved with the times, shape-shifted with its customers, constantly changing. They're always going to be evolving, so the question is, what is the cafe of the future going to look like? The secret to figuring that out, really, is to look back and see just why the cafe is so important, what need it played for people, and how it's been so intertwined with our history. Why have cafes been so important to us no matter which culture, where we live, or what language we speak? A cafe is any space that's not only about the food or beverage, but instead about the people in them. The first known coffee house was Kivahan in 1475 Turkey. Soon after, cafes exploded across the world. Every culture and subculture put its own spin on their social spaces, and though they may all look different, they have one major thread in common. It's our basic human need to be social. Cafes have been the biggest social phenomena in the last 2,000 years. You could argue it's the internet, but cafes built communities long before Facebook, chat rooms before ICQ, and bitching sessions way before Twitter. Cafes gave customers a voice, and those voices debated philosophy and argued politics, inspiring each other to greater heights. Cafes were not only where you got your news, it was where news was made. They were the internet before the internet existed. Cafes inspired Hemingway and Picasso because they connected with other artists and pushed each other to create. The Tatler newspaper in the 1600s used the Grecian coffee house as its office, its mailing address, and as a news source. You can take the shopping experience online, and food can be delivered to your house, but the need to be social in person is as vital as shelter or clothing. We're not just trying to make what we do sound important. We're going to have this guy do that.
The English coffee house was crucial to the development and spread of one of the great intellectual flowerings of the last 500 years, what we now call the Enlightenment. And the coffee house played such a big role in the birth of the Enlightenment, in part because of what people were drinking there. But the other thing that makes the coffee house important is the architecture of the space. It was a space where people would get together from different backgrounds, different fields of expertise, and share. It was a space, as Matt Ridley talked about, where ideas could have sex, right? This was their conjugal bed, in a sense. Ideas would get together there. And an astonishing number of innovations from this period have a coffee house somewhere in their story. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about coffee houses for the last 5 years because I've been kind of on this quest to investigate this question of where good ideas come from. What are the environments that lead to unusual levels of innovation, unusual levels of creativity? What's the kind of environmental, what is the space of creativity? And that means that we have to change some of our models of kind of what innovation and deep thinking really looks like, right? I mean, this is one vision of it. Another is Newton and the apple. This is a statue, though Newton was at Cambridge, this is a statue from Oxford, where you're sitting there thinking a deep thought and the apple falls from the tree and you have a theory of gravity. In fact, the spaces that have historically led to innovation tend to look like this, right? This is Hogarth's famous painting of a kind of political dinner at a tavern, but this is what the coffee shops looked like back then. This is the kind of chaotic environment where ideas were likely to come together, where people were likely to have kind of new, interesting, unpredictable collisions, people from different backgrounds. So if we're trying to build organizations that are more innovative, we have to build spaces that, strangely enough, look a little bit more like this. This is what your office should look like. Now, a couple of companies like Google, they have innovation time off, 20% time, where in a sense, those are hunch cultivating mechanisms in an organization. But that's a key thing. And the other thing is to allow those hunches to connect with other people's hunches. That's what often happens. You have half of an idea, somebody else has the other half, and if you're in the right environment, they turn into something larger than the sum of their parts. Thank you very much.
Social is the kind of cafe where ideas have sex, a space for tomorrow's revolutionaries. With a community atmosphere, Social connects the online world with an offline space that resembles the historical cafes of 300 years ago more than the cookie-cutter coffee shops of 20 years ago. It's an all-day cafe/bar that serves local and international freshly made comfort food and drinks in an interesting and quirky manner. On weekdays, Social doubles up as a collaborative work environment with high-speed internet, a conference room, high-resolution printers and scanners in a space that looks nothing like the traditional office. It's not just a third place. Really, it's a cafe and an office. A cafis, your new second place. With a workspace that's also your hangout spot, it's where entrepreneurs meet graphic designers and freelancers work shoulder to shoulder with CEOs, that very same idea of an egalitarian venue that fosters creativity and collaboration. Social is the answer to today's needs. Social is inventing a new category, or rather reinventing a centuries-old model. We've created spaces that have their own identities, with each one having local relevance our customers are helping bring to life. Imagine if your already favorite cafe took your recipe suggestions, catered its music to your taste, and even made it available for you to stream, and displayed your work to your friends. Social is crowdsourcing to find out what makes our patrons come together and to turn admirers into loyal fans. And with our mobile app in development, our customers can bring micro-communities based on shared interests that enable easier conversations, shared ideas, and build connections. We believe this will be truly revolutionary, and we don't just plan to watch it happen from the sidelines. This isn't just talk about our ambitions. This collaborative space is already happening at Social.
Whether you're a freelance designer, artist, filmmaker, and just starting out, chances are that you've been struggling for that retail space, perhaps even struggling for ideas and looking for the right people to collaborate with. Well, this is where co-working spaces come in and why they suddenly seem to be taking off in India. India finally waking up to the concept of spaces where you can sit with, well, people who've been strangers so far, people doing their own things, spaces that you can rent out for a day, a couple of hours, a week, a month, a year, depending on your needs. Of course, throw up a whole host of other ideas as well, but why are they really becoming so popular in India, and who are the kind of people who are using them? So let's get a sense from some people who are here on just why they believe this place is a hit. You guys are working together. Socia, if I may start by asking you, why the need for a place like this? Why not a conventional office setup?
We actually do have our own office, but it's in Gurgaon. But we are a tech startup, so a lot of meetings we do with our agencies and all in Delhi. So we were working out of a number of cafes, restaurants. So then you would get stares at, whether you've been here for 5 hours.
And it's
what
not
happens
always
with
easy getting that Wi-Fi password, and sometimes they're very apprehensive, and we obviously need access to internet all the time.
the speed is really bad. You don't have facilities like conference facilities. Then if I have to take a printout, I have to go out somewhere. So this is one-stop shop for it all.
In your line of work, how has that helped you? Has there been sort of like one tangible thing that you can talk about?
Networking. I found this man today. So we discovered just Joe today, and he's making a lot
He's
of
a
our
brilliant
merchandise.
illustrator, and he's doing some great merchandise for us. So yeah, we happened to meet him here, and we saw him working on something that he was doing as a project, and that's when we approached him and said, hey, we're looking for someone to do something on the lines of this because we want to start our own merchandise as well. And yeah, it worked brilliantly.
And
it's a great place to get ideas bounced off other people. I remember when I was working here a couple of days back and I was planning our next event, I got some great feedback from other people
which you
sitting
managed to
around.
incorporate in that sort of
Exactly,
help,
yeah,
right?
and it's great because there's so much that can come to your mind, but sometimes when you're just in conversation with people, things just evolve to another level, and it's great.
For the 50 spots we made available in Delhi, we had 650 applications in just the first 2 months. By doing this, we converted non-utilized inventory of seats during non-peak hours Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. into a revenue-generating model. And just who do we think we are to be trying this? We're Impresario. We make cafes. We've been doing that since 2000 when we started Mocha. Even then, we created a new category of cafe that didn't exist in India, a shisha parlor cafe lounge. Now, 15 years later, there are more than 2,400 shisha lounges in India. From Mocha to Tasting Room to Prithvi Cafe and even Saltwater and Smokehouse delis, no one truly understands the cafe model better than us. The cafe is determined to continue evolving, and Starbucks' place in that evolution is in the past. The future isn't a place to just meet over coffee. It's to get work done, to have a voice, connect, and collaborate. Here's 11 ways we already leave Starbucks behind. Uber Hi-Fi Wi-Fi, boardroom, printer, scanner, power connections up the wazoo, a mailing address. Their cappuccino is 165 rupees. Our beer is 90 rupees. Stale sandwiches that have been sitting around for days? Or freshly made food? At Starbucks, you're begging for choices. At Social, you're spoiled for choice. Starbucks has a fake plastic vibe. Starbucks is the McDonald's experience of design. Social is current with street cred. Each Social has its own personality. Here's what Starbucks looks like on a Monday night. Here's what Social looks like on a Monday night. Starbucks has a down-tempo, dull vibe. Social is buzzing with high energy. Starbucks has day appeal, while Social has day and night appeal. Starbucks is now trying to bring in alcohol, but the mindset of the consumer doesn't have alcohol associated with them. Social already has alcohol. Before they added Wi-Fi, the last great innovation at Starbucks was expansion. Our innovation is a workspace, an app to cater to groups, and crowdsourced creativity. Starbucks is coffee, biscotti, and jazz music. Social is beer, butter chicken biryani, and rock and roll. Everything we've learned from being in the cafe business for 15 years, everything we've learned from history has been assimilated into social. Cafes are more than about food and drink, they're about communities. We understand the needs of the next-gen customer. It's a battle for the customer's watch, not just their wallet. When you combine this community creation with value for money, you get fiercely loyal patrons. Social is the next evolution of the cafe. It fulfills the need to be social in ways that don't exist elsewhere. It's this reason that we can be in every community. Wherever there's a Starbucks or a clone, there can be a social. The next seeds of revolutionaries aren't the ones trying to dethrone capitalism. They're the ones changing the world with an app. The startup culture is the biggest revolution of today. Companies like Google are building workspaces that mimic what cafes did. Work and play have become more entwined, but they do nothing to cater to the independents, the ones aspiring to be the next Facebook or Uber. The creativity of software and technology requires flexible workspaces. Social brings that environment to a generation that has never seen it before. Giving startups a space to grow and connect with potential partners, we imagine social as a kind of offline Kickstarter. Not only can entrepreneurs find people interested in what they're offering, social can act as a venue to help new businesses even find potential backers. To leave you with the idea of how powerful a cafe can become when it gives its people a voice. When Edward Lloyd opened up a coffee shop in London in 1688, it was just Lloyd's Coffee House. It became a popular spot for insurance of ships and cargo. The idea of insurance was so important that Lloyd's is now Lloyd's of London, the oldest and most well-known insurance marketplace in the world. And Tontine Coffee House had customers getting together to trade stocks. It was located in New York City on Wall Street, and it became the New York Stock Exchange. This is what cafes have always been. This is how they've evolved. We're Impresario. We make cafes.